kill the Boer, kill the farmer is hate speech in any place in the world other than South Africa. Only in South Africa a judge will say that a call on the population to kill a particular group of people isn't hate speech. So do they really expect that the ambassador of the United States must say, no, that's not hate speech?
Move to this story now. South Africa has moved to demarch U.S. Ambassador to South Africa, Leo Brent Bozell III. The move comes after Bozell expressed his belief that kill the Boer is hate speech. He made the remarks during his keynote speech at an event in Hermanus in the Western Cape. Durko is calling on Bozell to explain his comments.
With regards to our U.S. relations, the Department of International Relations and Cooperation has noted recent public remarks made by the United States Ambassador to South Africa. While South Africa welcomes active public diplomacy and the strengthening of bilateral ties, we emphasize that such engagements must remain consistent with established diplomatic etiquette and international protocols. In this regard, we have called in the Ambassador of the United States, Ambassador Bozell, to explain his undiplomatic remarks. And in his engagements and visits to various sites in South Africa, including the Apartheid Museum, District 6, and other historical places, in the engagements he acknowledges that given our history, South Africa needs redress and is willing to work with us constructively in this regard.
Not long ago, Afrikaner groups were in Washington to lobby for the Trump administration support, and among their focus areas was the plight of white farmers. And National Employees Association of South Africa CEO Gerhard Papenfus was part of that group. He joins us now to take a look, or rather to give us his perspective on the latest Bozell development. Gerhard, good afternoon, or rather good evening to you, and thank you for joining us. What is your reaction on the demarching of the U.S. ambassador to South Africa?
Well, I think, do they expect a ambassador of the United States to say that the slogan "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer" is not hate speech? Do they really expect the "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer" is hate speech in any place in the world other than South Africa? Only in South Africa a judge will say that a call on the population to kill a particular group of people isn't hate speech. So do they really expect that the ambassador of the United States must say, no, that's not hate speech? Ask anyone in the world, is that hate speech? Can you imagine I call for the killing of a certain group? I'll be in jail, I'll be locked up, and I will be denied bail, most probably, if I do that. So really, I think it's childish. It's immature.
But there's also a historical context, wouldn't you agree? Because that phrase in itself, or the chant, is not just a figment of the imagination of a particular individual, that in its context, it doesn't necessarily mean hate speech, and this was even qualified by the Apex Court.
You know what? Malema himself made that very clear. He means, he's expressed himself in many occasions, that mean killing of white people. He made it very clear. So, to say, that's what the court said. But do you expect me, I'm the son of a farmer, do you expect me, and I'm taking this very personal, do you expect me to say, no, that's fine? Calling for the killing of farmers is not hate speech. My parents were the subjects of a farm attack. So do they really think we see how brutally farmers are attacked? So do they really expect us to say that's not hate speech? Nowhere in this world, nowhere, other than in South Africa, this is regarded as not hate speech. So,
yes, but the ambassador, I beg your pardon, Gerhard. I just want us to understand, and also from a I'm going to bring this back again. A highly polarized society that had a brutal and bitter history, which was classified by the United Nations as the worst crimes against humanity, lest we forget. Also, there's evidence that crime is rampant in South Africa and not directed in any particular race group. My question is that an ambassador visiting this country does not have the place to be disrespectful, as much as our own ambassador had been persona non grata, that there are international protocols on how to conduct yourself, emotions aside.
Is that poor conduct to say, I do not agree with the judgment of a court? With respect, he can say that. I think this ANC is immature, very immature, to say, I do not agree with that. He is an American. In America, will be hate speech on all accounts. He's an American. Does he change his persona when he comes to South Africa and say, I'm no longer in America. When I'm here in South Africa, I agree with that. So an ambassador with a country need to agree. He doesn't challenge our court system. He doesn't challenge the validity of our court system. He respectfully says that he disagrees with that. Now, the United Nations, he says that respectfully. And do we call, and I say there are crime all over South Africa, and many black people and colored people are killed. They're not killed by whites, and whites do not call for the killing of colored people in the Cape Flats. We don't call for that. It is crime. It is the result of a government that is pretty useless in governing this country. Useless. Crime is out of control. That is true. But here stands an individual stands up and say, kill the Boer, kill the farmer. And he makes it clear he means that.
All right, I just need for us, Gerhard, just in the interest of time, to deal with one issue at a time so it's not convoluted.
Yeah.
And I particularly want to go back to where you say that white farmers are not killed by other white people. I don't need necessarily have the statistics.
Sorry, say again?
Yeah, you were saying that white farmers were attacked and not by other white people. In other words, insinuating that there's black attack or deliberate attack on white people by blacks.
Whites are singled out. Farmers. The group farmers is predominantly white farmers, but there are also black farmers. But it's a kill the Boer, kill the farmer. He means white people.
No, I'm just saying what you said earlier. You said that white farmers were attacked by black people. You can correct me if I'm wrong, because we agree that crime generally affects all of us indiscriminately. So are you saying that there are no white killings on farms?
Well, I didn't say that specifically, but we can deal with that. I say that it's not a call for the killing of colored people in the Cape Flats, a call for any other. That's a call for the killing of farmers. Boers, that means white people. And are you saying I didn't say that white farmers are not being killed by whites? That's what you said.
That's what I understood you to say.
Well, but that's not what I meant to say. But that is true. That it is the case. We don't kill our own race. We don't kill our own race. We don't kill our own race.
There's enough evidence, Gerhard, and I really want to move on, because there is enough evidence of cases where there is, albeit for contract killing or insurance, there's many of those kind of examples, but I really don't want to labor the point. I just want to come back to the behavior of Ambassador Bozell.
The media do not acknowledge what's happening on farms. The brutality in respect of the way white farmers are being attacked, it's outrageous. It's outrageous. And there's a particular individual that keeps on, and the ANC has done nothing about it. They condones it.
All right.
And
we're going to have to agree to disagree, Gerhard, because I can always say to you, just look it up. There are many other examples of, be it contract killings, etc. But as I mentioned, I want to move on to the behavior. Gerhard, the behavior of the ambassador. You said he respectfully disagreed with the policies of a sovereign state, a constitutional democracy. He did not. He said he couldn't care about the apex court and what that ruling had said. How then do you say you don't care what the constitution of a sovereign state says, and you say that this was done respectfully? Please make me understand.
Okay. I was in the room in the United States of America in conversation with state security officials. They said to us, tell your government a few things need to happen. The first thing on that list was kill the Boer, kill the farmer must stop. And the ANC need to stop that from happening. I tell you what needed to happen. You know, the court judges, I mean, the fact that the court said this is not HP is not, you know, it's outrageous as far as I'm concerned, because it is my race that is being called, that people are being called upon to kill. And if anybody says, oh, don't understand it, then I don't understand it. Now, America, that is American policy. Stop that. Not the ambassador. He is the messenger. He's the messenger of the United States. That is official United States policy. And I was in the room when that message was conveyed to us, to convey to the South African government. I didn't hear about it. I heard it. I was present.
But how does the United States have the right to impose its policies on South Africa? And I bring it back to the Constitution, which is lauded as amongst the best around the world for having been able to avert a civil war so that we have a relatively smooth transition to a more equal society. We are not quite there yet. We say that the Constitution needs to be protected, i.e. there's no expropriation of land without compensation, and all the other levers of government to integrate everybody into one society are enshrined in the Constitution. Are you saying, in respect of the Constitution, that has found that kill the Boer is not hate speech, that's a part of the Constitution you disagree with, but overall, the Constitution is the best in the world?
We've got a reasonably good constitution, but the political party that rules the country, you know, their judges follow a particular narrative. In anywhere else in the world, with under other constitutions, the call to murder people of a particular race not being called hate speech, and then say it's not being called hate speech is outrageous. I disagree with that. I cannot imagine a place in the world where the calling or the murder of a particular race not being hate speech is acceptable. I can't see that. That is a surprise. I want to hear from a farmer that's sitting there tonight, listening to this, and say, you know what, we're happy. You know, farmers need to protect themselves. And I mean, you say, you know, farmers are being killed by other, killing for hire. Of course that can happen. But let's not beat around the bush. This is what we're talking about here is a call by an individual to murder the population, to murder people from a particular race.
But Gerhard, you're being selective. You're being selective in how you quote the slogan, because you and I are old enough to remember at least parts of apartheid in my case. But I don't know if you lived through apartheid in South Africa and where the political uprising emanated from, and where the arms had to be taken up because of the subjugation, oppression, the maiming and killing of primarily black people. So this is where the slogan resides. It has its history in the post or prior to democracy. You seem to impose this slogan as if it just emanated post apartheid.
It may have emanated in apartheid, but it needs to stop. It needs to stop. And the person that expressed himself in that manner needs to be in jail. That's where he belongs. That's
on
where
what
he belongs,
charges?
but not
on
in
what
South
charges,
Africa.
Gerhard, if the Constitutional Court found that it wasn't hate speech?
Well, then, of course he won't be. Of course he won't be arrested because the Constitutional said he can get away with that. Of course. But the debate tonight is whether I disagree with that. And the question is, must the ambassador of the United States of America agree with that? I wasn't present when he said that. I wasn't present at Durko today. I'm not talking for him. But he's an American, and in America, this would have been hate speech. You'll be in jail in anywhere else in the world except in South Africa, where people call on the killing of somebody else. If something happened in apartheid, that was then. But we know in a different society, and farmers are brutally attacked and killed. I'm currently in the Western Cape. There's a farmer that was recently attacked. I mean, this is not a normal attack. That's brutal. That is brutal. That is an act done in hate.
I want to take us,
encouraged to do exactly that.
Let's do this. If you recall, when Ambassador to South Africa, Ibrahim Rasool, who was on his second term, by the way, when he was recalled for criticizing President Donald Trump, albeit it was on a different platform, a meeting of minds on a online virtual platform. That cost him his job. He had to be escorted, labeled persona non grata, albeit maybe that he may have been the most seasoned diplomat that we had. What is different with Bozell stepping out of line, one might say, in saying he doesn't care for the Constitution, and for the mere fact that he may have outlined U.S. policies respectfully, in your words, we still have a transformational agenda that needs to happen, i.e. To redress the injustices of the past. That is in the Constitution. 2, the issue around Black economic empowerment was as a remedy, if you will, for the exclusion in the economy of the majority Black. And all of those transformational policies cannot then be erased because you are saying that these are U.S. policies. Why should those apply in South Africa?
Well, do you expect an ambassador of a particular country to say that? Do you expect the ambassadors of all countries in Europe, for instance, must be outspoken when they speak out? When they speak out on the issue of kill the Boer, must say we agree with that. That is not hate speech. Because a constitutional court says that is not hate speech. Do you expect a person that in his heart believes that the calling for the murder of somebody else is not hate speech? If that ambassador says, I agree with that court ruling, he's simply not honest. He is simply not honest. And we expect him, I can sit and say, I do not agree with the ruling of a court. But that's not disrespect. That's a matter of I disagree with that. And I disagree with that. And all farmers agree with that. And all reasonable people all around the world disagree with that.
All right, I hate to break your world. Really appreciate you joining us. I'm sure we'll have many more opportunities to engage, but we do agree to disagree because we all have different perspectives based on our socialization, our beliefs, and personal interests as well. The preservation of culture and experiences or lived experiences is unfortunately a very polarized exercise in South Africa, understandably, because of our history. But thank you for joining us here on eNCA. That is the National Employers Association of South Africa CEO Gerhard Papenfus, who says that the Bozell's comments were actually in line with U.S. policies and that they agree with it.